Welcome to this week's Endurance for Everyone podcast.
The following program is for entertainment purposes only. Though the hosts of this show are certified Ironman coaches, their attempts at long-course triathlons and endurance events should not be taken as an endorsement for you to do something stupid too. You should make your own bad decisions, then podcast about it. Now, let's start the show.
You know what? I've got 99 problems and this show ain't one.
Heck no, this show is the highlight of your week, John.
This is the highlight of my week. The highlight of my week is not the show, Rob. It's the highlight of the week is talking to you.
Oh, now you're just lying.
So I saw you were hunting today. Did you kill anything?
I did not see anything. So all the animals, all the little furry woodland creatures are safe.
Let's see. That's a trick answer there. I did not see anything. All the furry,
I don't just go firing into randomness, you know.
All the furry creatures are safe. What about the non-furry ones?
Oh, yeah. I mean, no, I'm not going to even make it a joke and get any mad at me. Yeah. Every living creature in the woods is safe.
Well, but you know, just the fact that you're hunting are going to make some people irritated.
True.
You know,
it's life. We don't all have to agree to still be friends.
Yeah. Everybody has their own way, right?
Correct.
As long as you're not like, you know, hunting elephants and mounting their heads on your walls, I guess.
You know, it's funny. I was out for a run with my one friend, and he is vegan. And as such, I was having a conversation with him because limited conversation, I should say. He doesn't really talk about it. Like a lot of people make the jokes or comments that they tend to be preachy.
Right. Absolutely
not the case with him. He doesn't discuss it whatsoever. And that being said, as I said with him, I think you and I have a lot in common because like I'm all for, like, I don't like factory farming. I don't like, you know, like big, you know, corporations and how they treat animals and so forth, you know. As such, you know, hey, I try to, you know, the beef in my freezer is from a cow that's literally from a farm, you know, 15 miles north of my house. I try to get local, you know, eggs, everything as best as I possibly can. The same is I don't hunt anything that I'm not going to eat. You know, that's why my brothers always ask me, come on, you gotta come on, go bear hunting. I'm like, I have no desire to, you know, shoot one because you're not going to eat it. I don't want the pelt for anything. The same with turkey or goose or whatever, you know, all these other things that he goes hunting. You know, it's basically limited to deer and a couple times a year maybe pheasant, and you know, everything that I get ends up in my freezer and ends up getting consumed.
Right,
so.
And that's the right way to do it. I mean, I grew up hunting myself. I think the first time my dad took me hunting, I was 6. There's actually pictures of me. He got me a .22 rifle that was, believe it or not, built for kids. If there is,
I believe they call them cricket.
They call them what?
Nowadays, you can buy those, and they're called cricket rifles.
Okay, maybe it was, but I used that thing until I was much older because I was pretty good with it, actually. But I just have no, and we didn't go hunting for deer or anything like that. We were squirrel and rabbit hunters, you know.
Yeah.
You know, and the squirrels you have to like keep in your freezer all season long, and just have one big feast at the end, you know. I can't believe
cooking one at a time isn't really worth it.
Right. There's not a lot of meat on them, but I can't believe I eat squirrel, to be honest with you. My sister loves squirrel, which is, you know.
Yeah, I hadn't had it in probably 15 years, and we went out last season and got one. I did, you know, and then nobody else was fortunate. We didn't have squirrel calls or any of that type of stuff. So just one, and don't care to go again. And just real greasy, wasn't worth it.
Right, very greasy, yeah. So we'll get off that subject because we'll make people irritated that you know, love all the little creatures, which I do, by the way. So I've evolved. But actually, I was talking about going vegan the other day, just to give it a try, just to see if it helps.
Really? Well, I thought vegan, you were trying to limit your carb and sugar intake. So
right.
what would you do?
That's the thing. That's when we started talking about it, is like, how do you get the protein? How do you get the, the things? But then when you look at it, if you're going with this fasting issue and you're eating 90 to 95% fat, you're not eating a lot of protein. You don't need a lot of protein. I don't know how it would work. I mean, I haven't taken that step yet. I was on an 18-hour fast today. I just came off it actually right before we started this. I ate something and feel okay, but I'm not losing weight like you are. How's your weight doing? Or are you still doing
so it? I was down and I'm up a little. That being said, though, and we'll talk more about it in a little bit here, I can't use today or yesterday or day before really as in my realm, I should say. I'm holding steady and I feel great. But that said is like, so all of a sudden I had dropped, I believe I'd said down to like 211, high 210.
Right.
And that being said is when I say rebounded back to 212, obviously it was, I figure some of that was a little bit of water rate weight because I'd come off of a workout. And yesterday, before my race, I was 213. When I say this morning I was 214. After the race, I went through the race, fasted. I said I didn't eat before the race. I just had some coffee. That kind of was a mistake. It gave me some heartburn because usually I do coffee with cream. At least helps knock the acidity out of it. But anyways, that started burning a little bit. And then after the race, it had been a while, and I had some really good, like local, fresh made, Chinese, not buffet. I sat down and had it. I hadn't had it in months. So, I imagine there's probably a little bit more sodium in that, and that probably helped inflate it back up. I try to weigh myself every day just to check my progress. Although Wednesdays are kind of my official like weigh in to see what's actually going on, because it kind of is far enough away from my long run that I'm not dehydrated, and it's, that would be a better, clear indicator of where I'm at.
I got you. We never really talked about that. Do you weigh yourself every day? You said you do?
Lately, just because I've been trying this, just out of curiosity to see, but usually once a week, and Wednesdays seem to be the best day.
Gotcha. I'm somebody that weighs themselves every morning because I'm a data guy, and if you don't know there's a problem, you can't fix it, right?
True.
So I've never really bought into that. You shouldn't weigh yourself every day. I feel like you should, because if I get up like today and I spike 3 pounds, I have to look at yesterday or to 2 days ago and see what I ate that might have done that to me. If I wait a week, I don't know that something I ate, it could have gone back down in a week. So I never knew there was a spike there, and I don't know that something I was eating is maybe causing an issue. That's why I feel like I have to do it every day. It's the same reason I check data every day. We might get a spike here and there that actually flattens out after a while, but if I don't know the issue's there, I can't fix it. Right?
Gotcha.
So that's why I look at that.
Yeah, and that said too is data's only good when you do something with the data, and that being said, as you said, I kind of shoot a glance, but I know for a fact, like, hey, I know having that meal was not good by really any stretch of imagination. Tasted good, I thought. But I know that's going to throw me off for a couple days, and that's why I'm not too wholeheartedly concerned over what happens for the next 24, 48 hours post that meal. But really, that's where I want to start looking 3 days out from it. Where am I at? Any long-lasting ill effects?
I understand. So I was reading, I was like looking through, as I often do, the day of the show, trying to come up with some ideas for the show that night. And we're going to fix that, going forward. We're going to try to plan ahead a little bit better. But I came across a question, and the question was pretty simple. What do you feel for cycling, running, triathlons, hiking is the most important muscle in your body? And I think I sent that to you via Messenger.
Yep. You did.
And what was your, now you know what the answer is right now, but what was your first inclination to answer for that?
My first inclination, I was thinking I'm always looking for is this a trick question? That's why I even ask you. And that said is I instantly thought the trick question answer would be the heart, because it's a muscle, and if it's not pumping blood, you're dead. So you can't do anything without it. But really, I was trying to think of something because I know I was figuring the answer is not going to be your bicep, your quad, your whatever, So I was leaning towards saying your diaphragm, because once again it goes with that. You can't breathe, you can't do any of it, and we all know when we get the wind knocked out of us. You can't do anything, until you regain your breath. So that was where I was leaning towards.
Right. So you were kind of going along the same line I was. My first instinct was to say the brain, because, not only does it control everything, but it's your mental state, things like that. So I'm thinking of more of a touchy-feely side as well. Right. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking this is a trick question. This is going to say, unless your brain is in it, unless your heart's in it, it doesn't matter. And then when I started thinking about muscles, I was thinking about the trunk muscles, the muscles that kind of wrap you up. And I was close with that one. So I was close with that.
Closer than me.
Yeah. Well, the actual answer is the psoas muscle, which is the hip flexors.
And does it go into an explanation?
It does. It does. So basically, and this, if you've ever taken anatomy or anything like this, so many nurses and doctors out there know this. But they're basically they're the engine that makes the body move, right? So they control balance, your ability to sit, your ability to stand up, the ability to reach for something, ability to walk, ability to bend over, anything like that. It always goes through the hips. So when you have problems like a lower back problem, like I used to have, and Megan used to tell me this, when I used to have a back problem when I was biking, she used to say it's your hip flexors. You have weak hip flexors. So start working on your hip flexors. What I didn't
did she give you any guidance or exercises?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, and I'm going to get to that. So, so there was. Well, we had a little bit of a snafu, but we're back. So what I was going to say is, you're not talking about a little bit of soreness when you talk about bad hip flexors. So anything that, since your whole body runs through the hip flexors, it could be the nagging joints in your legs, your lower back, your hips. If you're walking with discomfort, bad posture, you can have trouble sleeping, sluggishness, high anxiety, digestive problems. Everything's running through these things. So when you have hip flexor issues, it can control a lot. And the most important thing is at the end, loss of sexual performance, which we all know is very, very important. Right? To everyone, right? So especially the older you get. So so basically, tight hip flexors, it affects nearly everybody. Everybody has an issue with it. So what I didn't understand, though, until I read an article on it today, was the hip flexors, the psoas muscles, are the only thing connecting your upper torso to your bottom body. That's the only muscle that connects the two. I had no idea. So you have these two muscles.
That is news to me as well. I guess I don't know my anatomy as well as I should.
Yeah. So that was kind of, now hopefully that's correct information I'm getting, and I'm sure somebody will correct me if that's not the case. But so the psoas is the only muscle in the human body connecting the upper body to the lower body. The muscle attaches to the vertebrae on the lower spine, moves through the pelvis, and connects to a tendon at the top of the femur. Also attaches to the diaphragm, so it's connected to your breathing, and all major organs sit upon it. So kind of important, right?
Little bit. I can see why that would be.
So you want to cut somebody in two, you got to take care of the hip flexors. But the issue with the hip flexors is that they're very deep. Like they're inside. So it's not something like your abs where you can see. So it's like, you say, like your biceps, say your bicep. If you want to work your biceps, you're going to tell if you've pumped your biceps up. As someone who's worked out before. And your legs or anything like that, you can see the pump. With hip flexors, you can't see these things. So it makes it a little bit harder to work them out. Because I was going to get into some bodyweight exercise issues, when I was looking at the exercises to work with your hip flexors, I kind of threw out anything that had to do with a machine or weights or anything.
Right.
And came up with 3 of them. So the first one would be a hanging leg raise. So, most of us have done these, but just so you don't know, you hang from a bar. with your palms facing outwards, and you raise your legs straight up in front of you, and you drop them. But the trick is not to swing, so you're swinging your legs up, right? It's a controlled motion all the way up to an L and then back down straight, and then to an L and back down straight. Have you ever done those?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Years ago. And that being said, is that something that seems like I should be doing more often? But, it requires, I forget we call it like the chair, you know what I mean? Because you'd have the pull-up bar above it, but then you'd have where you can do like those, or on the end of it you can hang off and do the bar dip. I don't know what the appropriate actual gym term is, but that's what we always called it, was the chair.
Yeah. What is that called? It's the one which you can cheat on with the pull-ups and stuff like that. Is that the one you're talking about?
No, I'm not talking about like a weight assisted, because I've seen those, but I'm just talking about some people call them like power racks, but that alludes to also like what some people call the power tower, but I'm not talking about like the big square box. But this is literally just looks like if you took the back of a chair, no seat, but then it has the arms that stick off it with the handles, so you can lock in, like if you're sitting in your desk chair and you had joysticks at the end that you would grip onto, but nothing underneath, so you have to like step up into it, and then you can you kind of pull yourself up, and your feet aren't touching the floor whenever you're doing it.
Oh, I see. Okay. The next one is something we used to do in the Navy as like not a joke, but it was something we always did at the end of a weightlifting session on the ship, and it was like a fun thing to do. But I would, so say I would lay on the floor, flat on the floor, and my buddy Mark would stand over me, which is kind of odd, but like put his feet where my shoulders are. And I would try to kick him, like both feet up to him. And then he would grab my legs and just throw them down.
Right.
And then you'd have to stop it before it hits the ground and throw your legs back up. And then he would throw them to the left side or throw them to the right. You would never know which way he was going to do it. And you would do that for like 10, 15, 20, 25. That's an actual – I didn't know it was an actual exercise. That's how lost I was. They're called leg throws. And those work the inner core. And those were actually kind of fun to do because it was like a challenge, to see if I could kick him before he could throw my legs back down, things like that. So,
right.
The other thing are called gate openers. So you stand, I've never seen these, and this kind of works towards like the machine, the hip abductor machines. But you stand like with your feet about a shoulder width apart, about 6 inches or so.
Okay.
Hands to your side, and you lift like your left leg up, so it's an L, and then you move it to the right, so you're coming across your body, and then you move it as far as you can to the left. Easier said than done. It's almost like a yoga thing, right?
Right. It sounds like it.
Yeah. So I mean, I'd like lift my leg up, and I'd go bonk, fall right over, But that
can you take a video of that and post it to the YouTube channel?
Yeah, I will. But the fact that your hip abductors also control your balance. So I've always said that my balance sucks. Right, I can't stand on, like when I go to a yoga class, if I go into a pose that's like a tree pose with one leg, I'm always fighting it. It's because my hip abductors suck. My core sucks. So, so it all relates to that. So I thought it was a pretty good little exercise to kind of look into that,
Yeah, and something once again the body weight stuff that you mentioned several times, I assume it's things you can do anywhere. You don't need anything other than your body to do them. Right.
So the original thought was tonight was to actually talk about body weight exercises. And the way I came to that was I was thinking about, like we were talking last week, we started talking about how one of the excuses we all use is that we're too busy. I'm too busy to go to the gym. Well, the issue there is that you can do a lot of exercising without ever stepping foot in a gym.
Right. So
almost anything you can do in a gym, you can do body weight wise. Can you hear my paper rustling?
I cannot. I hear the gears turning in the brine, though.
I'm looking at my notes. If you were here, you'd be able to smell the smoke too. So basically, bodyweight exercises are anything that doesn't require free weights or machines, and uses your own body weight to provide the resistance, right?
Yes.
So I say right too much. I got to stop that. This type of strength training has been going in popularity. Megan used to give them to me all the time. I think she preferred bodyweight exercising, which is fine, but. I think, and some part of it goes back to whenever somebody goes, well, how do I work? If I want to build my shoulders, how do I build my shoulders? Last week, somebody asked, what weight training can I do to help me in my swim? And as somebody who lifted a while, and I think Randy could probably speak to this as well, he was a big weightlifter, that if whatever exercise you want to improve on, like swimming, I mean, what's the motion that you make when you're swimming with your shoulders? And then you use that motion to figure out, okay, if I'm doing this is where I need to be stronger at. What exercise causes me to help that build up, right? So dumbbell raises, like straight arm dumbbell raises to the side, kind of working your shoulders, your rotator cuffs, things like that. Anything that's going to help that is going to help you with your swim. So anything is like, if I want to build, my calves, what do I do to build my calves? Well, what works on your calves? Biking works on your calves. Going upstairs work on your calves. Calf raises work on your calves. Things like that. You can do calf raises anywhere, right? As long as you got a curb, you can do calf raises.
Right.
So,
and I agree with that on the calf raises. I want to go back quickly though to your swim analysis, I should say, as an example.
Yeah.
And with all of this, I'm not saying I disagree with you on any of it, but also I guess my thought or opinion on some of it is it comes down to what your goals are. And I guess the best way to say that or change that verbiage would be, if I want to be, I personally would want to get smaller. I want to weigh less, and I want to get leaner. I could see how lifting weights, because obviously there's that truism, I guess, muscle burns, more calories and so forth. So doing some weight training will help you tone up and or then slim down, lean down, right?
Exactly.
But I don't want to get bulky. The other way, now granted, this is not exactly weight body weight exercises, but the best shape I was ever in was the one summer that I was, working on a farm and, throwing, I did it multiple summers, but the one summer we threw a lot of hay, and that those aren't light and you're using a lot of different muscles, but, I didn't hit the gym once that summer, but when I came back to football and wrestling, I was, 10 times stronger than I ever had been at that point.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a lot of bending, twisting, and, and again, that you could call that a weight exercise because of the weight of the bales and so forth. But you just going back to the body weight and what you're saying is, I could do a lot. I don't really do anything right now, and I should be. And push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups, twists, squats, and so forth. And it could go a long way. But going back to, I'm going to pick on swimming because unless, my personal opinion, not a doctor nor a trainer, correct me, you are an Ironman certified trainer. If I'm certainly deficient in a certain part of my swim stroke, then I could work on strengthening that one muscle or maybe right arm more than left arm in order to correct an imbalance. But I think swimming really comes down to your form. And, the more, I'm not saying the more laps you do in the pool, the more correct laps you do in the pool is going to gain tenfold over any, weight exercises that you're going to the repetitions you're going to do.
Absolutely agree with you, though. And I don't want it to make it seem like that I'm telling you to, or telling anybody to lift weights over swimming. If you want to get better swimming, you swim. That's how you get better swimming. If you want to be a better cyclist, get on your bike.
Yeah.
No leg exercise in the world is going to make you a better cyclist, better than getting on your bike and go ride. Okay? Same with running. Nothing's going to help you more than running than to go run. So, But
as long as we're on the same page with that, I just
absolutely. And I don't want to make Brent will jump all over me about that because he kind of did already once. I'm talking about if you really want to. I'm talking about I guess I was generalizing because I was talking about back in my weightlifting days. When you said, "Well, I want to get the pecs bigger. What do I do to make these bigger?" Or I have
you isolate that muscle and you work on it. That's why somebody can have 30 some or whatever huge biceps, you know what I mean, and little tiny chicken legs. If they don't ever lift, if they don't ever do squats or a lower end, they only do curls and tricep extensions.
Right. What do they call it? The beach muscles. They call them something else. But every guy, especially back in my day in the 70s, you wanted a big chest and big arms. You didn't really care about your legs.
Yeah.
So we all know that's not the case now. But there were plenty. Look at the bodybuilders back in the 70s. Even Schwarzenegger to some extent, he had small legs. He was huge upper body, but if you looked at his calves, they weren't that great. But you look at him now. You look at bodybuilders now, totally different.
Everything.
Yeah. So, they didn't start looking proportional until now. I'm going back and I'm probably going to bore people, but after Schwarzenegger came Frank Zane, and Zane won it 3 years in a row, and he was a totally different looking bodybuilder than Schwarzenegger was. He was more of a proportional, built all over bodybuilder, not a big bulky guy. And he won Mr. Olympia 3 years in a row. So it was changing a little bit, and now they're back to the more bulky, roided out people, but that's beside the point. And even getting back to, I know we're getting off the body weight thing a little bit, but I wanted to mention this, like getting back to the core stuff. There's actually, there was something we used to do also back in high school that we used to attach chains to a bench press. Have you ever done this?
No, I've seen it. I think I know where you're going. So the bar has a swing to it, so it's not one straight motion.
Right. There's two folds here. One, when you're lifting the bench. So say you have a couple 45s on end. So you're lifting basically for 135 pounds or so, 140 pounds. And then you throw these big ass chains on each end. It's going to sway a little bit. So now you're fighting it with your core to keep it balanced. But not only that, most of the chains on the floor, when it's on your chest, the higher you go with the bench, the heavier the chain gets. So okay, so there's it's doing two things here. It's making you kind of twist and kind of fight the bar a little bit, but it's also getting heavier the higher you go. So as you push the bar up, it gets heavier. Right. So it's an increased resistance, and that's the other part of it. But another thing we used to do with benches, and I don't even know if this is condoned anymore, so don't go try this, is we used to take our feet off the floor and put it on the bench. So
I've seen,
yeah. So when so you don't have your feet as a stabilizer, so you're really kind of fighting it, and you do it with light weight. But it's all about building those. It's all about like making you kind of fight the weight at the same time as you're lifting. So you're working more than one muscle at a time. You're trying to stabilize it.
Yeah.
A way to do that without body weight is go get on a Bosu ball, if you know what that is. It's like kind of a blow up ball that's only half.
I was like the platform with the round underneath.
Right, and put it with the round part underneath and stand on the flat part and do squats on that thing. And watch how your body starts shaking.
I need to start doing some squats normally. I like you had said about balance. I must obviously be weak in the areas we're talking about because I will fall over and break something if I try that.
Oh, yeah. So would I. I mean, I had to do it when I had knee surgery 12 years ago. That was one of the things they made me do. And it's like your whole body starts shaking because you cannot hold it. When your body starts shaking like that, it's just your muscles are working to try to stabilize themselves. So it's always a fun people that think they're like really strong and to throw them on something like that and see how strong they really are, because nobody ever works that kind of stuff, right?
Right.
They work the show muscles, People still do.
All show, no go.
All show, no go, right? So getting back to body weight exercises, so there's advantages and disadvantages to body weight, right?
Yes.
What would you think one of the advantages would be? pretty clear one, I think. The first one.
Bodyweight exercise. Well, I'm going to go with two very obvious in my opinion. I say this not jokingly, but very, you're less likely to hurt yourself.
Right.
I only say that because some people, you've seen it. They put too much weight on the bar, then they pin themselves under it, or poor squat form with a bar, and you're going to, cripple yourself. You're going to just, crunch in half, and but also you can do it anywhere. Very low barrier to entry.
Yep, that's very good to say. That's exactly two of the things, and that you don't have to worry about belonging to a gym. You can do these things anywhere. You can go out in the woods and do most exercises on your own. So you save $50 a month right there, right? It's good. I don't know what gyms cost up there, but a YMCA membership here is like $54 a month. You can get a LA Fitness for $25, I think. But
similar pricing up here. Yeah,
it adds up. Well, I think LA Fitness is probably nationwide. It's probably pretty similar everywhere. It's body weight's good when you travel a lot, especially during the holidays. So if you're hopping a plane to go see your parents, you don't have to worry about packing weights. Right? You just do anything. And one of the best exercises in the world is a push-up. Right?
Yep.
So, and you can do push-ups in your office during the workday.
Can? Sure. I do.
You do, don't you? Do you do a certain number every hour? Is that how you do it?
No. I've been working most of this year, and I say most because I had to take a few weeks off because I had some wrist issues we were discussing. Yeah. But I try to do 125 a day. And that, like I said, my how I do it, one set before, as soon as I get out of bed, one set before I go to bed for two, one when I first get to work, one at lunch, and one when I leave work.
So you're doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're doing 5 sets of 25?
Yes.
Okay. But even you can do say 125 and just do them during the day. Do them once an hour. Do 10 sets once an hour. If you can't do 25.
Right.
As long as you get the 125 in. I think 125. I used to just try to get 100. So yeah. I would do, and I would do it during football. Whenever it went to a commercial, 10 push-ups. Now where that sucks is when they have when they have sometimes when you're watching the game. Yeah, you're watching the game and they have those timeout, and then you have to do 10 and then they come back and then they say, oh well, we have a delay, so we're going back to a commercial. Now you can do that more. So you can do in a 3-hour football game, you can do 100 push-ups. Easy.
Yeah. No doubt.
Yeah. So it's make a game out of it, right?
Yes, and anything to make solid habits as well. That takes the thinking out of it. As soon as the commercial comes on, you're getting the floor.
Right. So another good thing is that it can be progressed or regressed according to what your abilities are. There's ways to have workarounds for most body weight exercises. If you can't do a full push-up, then go to your knees. Right. Yeah. If you can't go to your knees or do a full push-up, do them against your couch. So it's a little bit of an incline. Do them against your desk at work. Anything.
Also, you're still getting it, and you're still working. I'm going to say similar muscles, but I intentionally try to get those, or at least one set, or even an extra set or two a day. Edge of the bathtub, or like you said, if I haven't done one in the day, I'll do it going up or down the steps as well, just so that way it's almost like if you're doing a bench press, it's flat, but that's where you get the incline bench and the decline bench in order to work the muscles in different ways. Same thing with the push-up. I haven't put my feet on the step in order to make it harder. I've done the, put my hands up 3 steps and done it there. I've also done it leaning on the counter in the kitchen, which that's at 3 foot high. As such, I don't get my burn at 25, so I'll do 35, 40. Once it starts to get that burn, do 5 more, and then there you go.
Yeah, that's a good rule. I do the same thing. Once you feel the burn, do 5 more. I do the same thing. It must be like a past weightlifting football thing, because I think most people I've talked to that played sports or did that in their past do the same thing. Feel the burn, do 5 more.
That's when you know it's working.
Right.
No idea, guys. That's just what I do.
And something else I kind of alluded to already is that you need more flexibility, and to do body weight exercises. You can get on a bench. You don't need a lot of flexibility. Pull a bar off the bench and pull it down to your chest and push it back up.
Mm-mm.
You don't need a lot of flexibility of that, but you do need flexibility to do a push-up.
Yes.
Right, or a Spider-Man, or whatever you want to do. So, they tend to require more flexibility, and they require more balance. There's ways to mimic that, as I was talking about in the bench press, to work on your balance in bench presses and anything like that. I wouldn't suggest doing anything with squats because you got weight on your shoulders, but
you want to keep that one pretty tight.
Yeah, you want to watch yourself on that one. And also because you're doing the balance and you're doing, in different positions, you're working more than one muscle group at a time. When you do a bench press, I keep going back to the bench press because it's the thing everybody knows. But when you do a bench press at a gym, you're working your chest, you're working your triceps, forearms, grip a little bit, and that's about it. Your shoulders, that's about it. But you're doing a push-up, you're working much more than that. You're working your whole core, you're working everything. And like, again, there's ways to mimic it, but a push-up on its own is more beneficial to you. Now, where it's not is part of the disadvantages. What are the disadvantages of body weight exercises? The one is that
you're asking me. Let's say you're limited to your own body weight.
Exactly.
Because you're not adding additional weight to it. That therefore goes right against body weight.
Right. Exactly. So that's what it gets to the bench press. You're never going to you're going to progress. You're going to be able to do more. And now where the disadvantage also in that is that I weigh 260 pounds. Now I can go bench press 135, 140 for sets, and that's no problem. I can't take weight off me. Right. And only do a push-up at 135 pounds. The way I have to do that is go down to the knee, whatever I have to do. That goes back to like a pull-up. Some people can do pull-ups with no problem. For me to do a pull-up, I have to lift 260 pounds into the air.
Right.
I'm not that strong.
Not yet.
Not yet. But you have to be pretty strong to lift 260 pounds into the air more than once.
Yes.
So, I mean, that's pretty strong. So, there's limitations to that, to using body weight. It could be a little bit daunting, maybe. I actually think, it's said that it could be daunting to novices. I think it's actually less daunting to do body weight than it is to go into a gym and lift weights for somebody that's new to it.
I'd agree. I mean, you could do that in your house. The only one seeing you is you.
Nobody has to see it. Now, with the disadvantage is somebody who's lifted a long time, it can be almost too easy. It can be too easy for you. You're not getting the benefit from it. If you're used to lifting, or if you're trying to get to a 300-pound bench press from 200 pounds, you're not going to get that from body weight. You're going to have to lift heavy. So you're going to have to go in there. So it comes down to what your goals are, right?
Well, that's circling way back to what I feel like I had said earlier was my personal goals are to get leaner. I don't think I've seen many people that are going to bulk up to, Arnold Schwarzenegger size doing body weight. If you're doing body weight exercise, I think it's just to get, I'm going to say to your maximum capacity with what you have, with no external factors.
Right. And you were an ex-football player and wrestler. I mean, you've got a bodybuilder build to you, right?
Kind of, yeah. When I'm slimmed down, I've heard it shoulders are much wider than the waist whenever the waist is small enough.
Right, yeah. You're built like
right now they're the same. It's just, one is, and then the other one's like 90 degrees off kilter. We just need to narrow that down.
Well, we're built kind of the same. Randy was built the same. It was like we have these large upper bodies, strong upper bodies. We're football players, so we come from that background, so we have big shoulders, we have big chests, we have strong arms, things like that. Now, if our waists were 32 inches like they should be, it would look even more pronounced, right?
Correct.
So, but I mean, you can go on the Facebook and see some of the pictures I have that are cut off just from the gut up, and you can see that the upper body's there. This is not an issue, but it's the middle section that needs all the work, right?
I think that is everybody's problem, John. It's not. We are not special in that way.
It's all I'm special. But my mother said I was special. I believe her.
So did your principal, but in a different way.
My principal never saw me. He wasn't that fast. Mr. Hunt, he just passed away a couple years ago. Anyway, so speaking about guts.
Yup.
How'd your eating? So we talked about a little about your eating. You're fasting, right? But you're not so much the last few days.
Not so much. I'll say Saturday night into the race Sunday and midday Sunday. Correct. But I mean, I still was fasted. I just went off a little bit as far had a little variation in what I was consuming.
Yeah. Okay. So. Right. So I'm, obviously I'm always looking at nutrition stuff and coming up with the realization that, when the food, there's 3 types of macronutrients: your carbs, your fats, your proteins. Mm-hmm. So, your carbs are there to do your glycogen levels and, feed your muscles. Fat is for your cell membranes. Protein is your structure building stuff. As long as you're eating and there's a need for those things, it's going to go do those things. The nutrients are going to go do those things. It's when you don't need those things that all that stuff becomes fat.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So
the body is a very well designed machine. And going way off topic, not necessarily into personal opinion, there's been science that shows this, and that being said, is our bodies adapt very well, and we're genetically predispositioned to store fat. It's a survival mechanism. You know what I mean? It's feast and famine. And if you're going to give your body excess, I'll say, calories, nutrients in any form, if it doesn't need them, it has the ability to store them, it's going to.
Right. So the basic science says that in order for the food to be used as it's needed, you have to create a deficit in those things for the food to get used. And if you're not creating that deficit, then it's going to become fat. Right?
If we're going dangerously close to that whole thermodynamic calorie in, calorie out argument here. But there's also then the counterpoint where, hey, if you consume, once again, fats and proteins, they can, less of the carbs, then you could, use them. And if you don't use them, they'll pass through you. Unlike, they're not as sticky as some of the, other substances that'll stay with you.
Right. Exactly. But then what I started looking at is like, like our good buddy, Vinny, has always said, Vinny Tortorich over at the Angriest Trainer. I don't even think he calls himself the Angriest Trainer anymore. But
nope, it is Fitness Confidential because it matches with his book.
Yeah, it's just Fitness Confidential now. So when he started, it used to be called the Angriest Trainer. And the thing he always said, does this show even start with that anymore? Your good intentions have been stolen.
And I'm here to help you get them back.
Does it still say it? Okay. You can tell I haven't listened in a while. And don't kill me, Vin. He's not listening to this anyway.
Wouldn't you be surprised if he was?
Yeah. Well, then we'll hear about it, won't we? This is how we know if people are listening. Right? See, I know people listen when they offer you advice on how to fix your podcasting app immedially.
Yes. So, several responses, and thank you all for that.
Yeah, so people are actually listening to it. Yeah, I'm gonna post something before this goes up live to see if people are gonna listen to it. So I say, so Vinny's whole thing was your good intentions have been stolen, and I'm here to help you get them back. And what he means by that is that people generally, as a whole, there are obviously going to be separate instances of this. People don't wake up in the morning and say, I want to be a fat guy. Mm-hmm. Nobody wants to be fat. And what's the irritating part what he gets into, and a lot of other people get into, is that people try to do the right thing. And these food companies are out here trying to get you to not do the right thing. They're gonna try to mimic things. They're going to try to make you seem like something's healthy when it's not. And this is where you have to become a very, what do I want to say? A very smart consumer.
Diligent.
And diligent when in the stuff. If you really want to get healthy, you have to learn that drinking diet soda is not really 0 calories.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It'll say Coke 0 sugar, which I drink. Okay. I am bad about it. It is, yes, it's 0 calories, but there is so much crap in Coke 0 sugar. It is not a healthy drink. Right?
I know you're getting to something on this, and I agree with you. I'm just curious where this is going, because I'm sitting back like, this isn't news, John. Yeah, I know.
Well, I know, but every once in a while I have to start on a rant about this stuff.
Yes, sir.
The one that got me is I was reading an article in a magazine called On Fitness, and it was about natural flavors versus artificial flavoring.
Okay.
And about how people will, when they go shopping, and it says, oh, this yogurt has natural flavoring, but this yogurt has artificial flavoring. So the natural flavoring one should be healthier. The truth is,
I see this so far. Keep going.
Okay. The truth is, neither one of them are healthy, but people will be drawn to the word natural, just like they're drawn to the word organic.
Yeah.
So I think what people need to become a little bit more educated in these things is that, there's a difference between artificial and natural, of course. Natural flavoring means you've taken, like if you boil a pound of shrimp into water and then you take all the shrimp out and you reduce that water down to a teaspoon, you've got natural flavoring. Okay. And artificial is totally chemical driven.
Right.
But the process is still, there's a process to these things, and other things happen. So when you say natural vanilla flavoring, there's not only just vanilla in that. Okay.
Right.
There's a process to this stuff. I'm trying to think of one, like oranges. There's like a natural orange flavor, but then the oranges, you also have grass and roots and things like that. There's other stuff in there, and anything that processed is inherently not good for you. So, I always got where Vinny was going with this stuff, was because he's not telling you that, well, he is in a way, but he's not telling you that you're bad if you eat this stuff. What he's trying to tell you is that you need to be more diligent, and when you look at a label, to understand what those things mean. Like everybody knows the real sugar versus artificial sweeteners. It's, artificial sweeteners like aspartame, that's been known since the 70s to be bad for you.
Right.
But somehow people will still take that over real sugar. And I would actually argue, if you're going to drink the damn soda, drink the one with real sugar.
Drink the real sugar.
Yeah, drink the one with real sugar in it. Because then at least you're not putting chemicals in your body.
Right.
Aspartame is like, there's so many there's still, it hasn't been out long enough to get really good longitudinal studies out on it, but it's been linked to so many things. And the baseline is your brain does not know the difference between this sweet and that sweet. All it knows is sweet. Right. So if it detects that there's something sweet going in your body, it's going to release insulin. It doesn't care if it's sugar or not.
Right.
So if you think that you're right, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, and that's where I'm going to, I'm not trying to rein you in here, John, but I'm going to say where part of what Vinny has said, and I'll go to it as well. And that's, a lot of it is marketing. And I could go through an hour of examples. I had several. One of my degrees is in marketing, so I can go through several hours and examples of what you can do, can't do, and how it's trickery. You know what I mean? As an example, way off topic, but that'll make some sense. Cool Ranch Doritos. Whenever they first came out, they were new Cool Ranch Doritos. But if you looked at them, and this goes back 10, 12 years, at that time it then said now Cool Ranch Doritos, because you can only use the word new for so long, but the words are so close that at a quick glance your mind sees it and thinks new is better. And that's why they switched to that. And I don't know what is still on the packaging.
That's
but part of what Vinny was talking about, and I think I've heard you say, I don't know if you eat them or not, but like the RX bars are the Lara bars. Okay. So a Lara bar, I guess I'm using the actual brand name there. I've consumed a lot of those, especially whenever I had just first started paleo and when I had first started Vinny, because they are 100%. It's like, it's a date, a cashew, an apple and cinnamon. That's it. I'm like, oh, that has to be fantastic. But then Vinny has done several shows rallying. Once again, they're marketing them, or there's the RX bar, and then there's that's the one that says no BS on the front, you know, and it says it right RX, there. Yeah. And they say no sugar, but one of the main ingredients is dates. To me, I always thought that's just because it's a binding agent. You listen to him, and it is one of the sweetest things you can possibly eat. So once again, you're looking at the label, you're not seeing sugar, but you're consuming it. And this goes back to your aspartame versus real sugar versus this as well. You're eating much more than you regularly would of that. As such, your body's gonna have the insulin response to it.
Right, exactly. And I've had RX bars, and I do like the taste of them. But yep. I know enough to know when I look at that, I say, okay, yeah, they say no sugar, but there's dates. The first ingredient is dates. Mm-hmm. Well, that's your sugar. You know, yeah. There it is. And you just have to know what you're getting, I guess, when you go into it. And what was the other thing you used to say? You can't eat anything with impunity. Right? Just because Coke Zero has 0 calories doesn't mean you can drink 12 of them.
Nope.
You know, and that's where people go wrong, right? Just because I'm trying to think of something, maybe like even a kale shake. Okay, a kale shake, you know, you put, you know, specific ingredients in apples to kill the taste of the kale, as far as I know. But, you know, and all this doesn't mean you can have 4 of them.
No,
you know, there's nothing with impunity, right? And it kind of gets dangerously close to the everything in moderation thing, which I don't agree with. But and I hate it when people say that. But I have to fight that. You know, going back to the team stuff. You know, I'm standing there at the meeting after the swim last week, and they're saying, you know, you feed the athlete, eat the carbs, blah 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 blah. You need the carbs. It's like, and I have to keep my mouth shut.
Yeah, because they're running the thing, but that is very old and incorrect.
Right.
Information at this point.
God love them, they do good work, but that is a team and training thing. They still do pasta dinners the night before the race. You know, it drives me insane.
And an ice bath afterwards.
Yeah, and an ice bath ice bath afterwards drives me crazy. So that's the end of my rant. I just think, you know, we're here to kind of guide you. We're not here to tell you what to eat and what not to eat. I don't want to do that, but be conscious of what you're putting into your body. You know, and be aware that there's ways that they hide this stuff. What did I pick up? Did I tell you this? One of my loves is eggnog. Did I tell you this before?
I don't think so.
Okay. It is a weakness of mine. Okay. I love eggnog. Bought eggnog because the way I do it is like when the holidays come, I'll buy a thing of eggnog and I take a sip of it every once in a while, just to get a taste of it. Well, I bought one and I never really looked at it. I just never really looked at it. And you would think that an eggnog, you would think cream and eggs and nog, right? Whatever nog is. But cream and eggs, and vanilla, right? I look at it and the first thing is milk. And the second thing is high fructose corn syrup. The third thing, corn syrup. Then eggs. And then dextrose. So I've already seen 3 kinds of sugar, plus the milk, the lactose in the milk. And I actually threw out 3/4 of it.
You just couldn't bring yourself to continue drinking it once you knew what was in it?
And I love eggnog, you know. I love it. But I just couldn't, knowing that, I said, I can't drink this. I cannot. I mean, how do I drink this and then come onto a podcast and say people shouldn't be drinking this? You know,
yeah, right.
That's not.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah, and you know how I feel about that. I don't believe in that kind of stuff. But and if I did, like I sat here and told you, I love eggnog and I drink it.
Yep.
But or Coke Zero, you know, it's still, I'm not perfect, right?
I guess, no, none of us are, John.
Well, so
it's been years since I've had eggnog. I remember liking it as a kid. I just, I guess I just don't have it around. Don't even think to get it at this point. So.
Well, it's a holiday thing now. I look at it and I say, I can't do it. I can't drink this. And it's and it goes back to that thing. It's like I have to get past saying I can't do it and get to saying I don't want it.
Yes.
So I'm not there yet. I still want it.
One thing at a time, John. Let's tackle the Coke habit first.
the Coca-Cola habit. I can drink the Coke. I can have the Coke. That helps me lose weight.
Does it? Does it, John?
I don't know. Makes me shaky.
Smoking helps you lose weight too, I guess, by that logic.
There you go. Okay. So before we get off here, let's talk about your race Sunday.
Ran a race. It was cold. I finished.
Ran a race. You posted a picture. It's not it. You posted a picture. How was the temperature at this race?
It was warmer than the last time I'd done it. It was 30 degrees when I started, but like I said, that previous time I'd done it, it was 21 or 22 degrees. So, it was warmer. And that being said, though, so I was out warming up, and so I took like multiple layers of clothing just so I had options. I had my running tights, I had a pair of tall socks, I had a pair of pants, I had 2 different shorts. I just didn't know what, I also had my E4E shirt on, which my wife called me out for, because I 99.9% of every racing I run, I wear our Team Doreen, the memorial for her mother shirt, and I didn't wear that this time. And she did have my son in hers, so I should have. But either way, I had just a t-shirt, and I had my running jacket, gloves, and a hat. So I did just made the last minute decision. I did ditch the pants, went with just the short socks. I went, a t-shirt and jacket, gloves. About 3 miles into the race, the sleeves on the jacket, they came up to my elbows. About mile 4, the gloves went into the pockets. About before I hit mile 5, the jacket was 3/4 unzipped. I didn't want to leave it on the side of the road. I was sweating pretty hard at that point. I mean, when I say it warmed up, I think it was like maybe 38, 40 degrees by the end of the race. But, I could wring my shirt out. It was hot for me by the end of the race wearing that amount of clothing. So I was going to take the obligatory, take the photo, wring the shirt out on the ground. Then I realized that ain't worth the effort. So I just changed. I just showered.
And really, it's kind of gross, but
yes,
that's beside the point, right? Oh, I've taken a picture. I've taken pictures of me on the trainer with this just like a puddle of sweat underneath the bike.
Yeah, I sent you one of me, and you told me to work harder. So that's not.
Yeah. That's not. Yeah, that's not. You call that a puddle? That's a few drops.
Yeah, but sorry, I said the race was really good. I think it ended up with 400 and some. And actually, I'll go into my email because they sent results today. With congratulations and so forth. My time, it was a half marathon, so obviously 13.1 miles. I was 312th out of 488, 15 out of 16 to my age group. Yay me. My 6 mile time was 52 minutes and 4 seconds. My overall time, which was amazing here to me that actually my splits were almost dead on, because my overall time was 2:04:33. On the clock. My chip time was 2:04:25. So I was obviously near the front when I had started. Pretty much almost dead even splits, which was, I say, kind of amazing because it's hilly. There's a lot of hills in this thing, but the last mile and a half is uphill. And I thought I was keeping fairly decent pacing to that point. I got, and this goes to show, I have a point here. I was running the whole first half. And then once I hit past once I was past mile 7, but before mile 8, I did start doing some walks. I was getting tired. Okay. So I started walking up the hills, running the flats and the downhills. And obviously and when I say that didn't affect me, I must have been going faster. I say must because I didn't go look at my my timing splits. And once again, I had a big long hill to get down into it. This valley is it. But I actually walked that last mile up the hill. I was tired and I just said, that's it. I was walking uphill. I knew it was a mile. I walked that last mile and still finished once again. I was figuring about a 2-hour finish. I finished 2:04. So Vanessa in our group did better. If you go out and look at her, don't know what her time was. She actually got third in her age group. Once again, she's, I joked with her and said, hey, she said, these hills are killer. And I said, gain 80 pounds and then try it.
Yeah, exactly. That's my go-to response too.
Yeah. So not diminishing her accomplishment, very much, congratulations to her, very much, proud that she was able to do that well and get a trophy. It was rough for me. I knew it was not going to be a PR event for me to go out. I was just going out to have some fun, and I wanted to actually do a little show prep on it, and then I didn't. But they give you the course, and whenever 3/4, I swear, 3/4 of the course, the road names were either hollow, hill, or overlook. Something hollow, something hill, something overlook, which means you're going up, you're going down. If you're in an overlook, you're overlooking stuff. You had to go up to get there. Hollow means you're in a valley. You know what I mean? And if hill's in the name of the road, you're not going to enjoy it.
So. But I'm telling you, listening to that, and when I was looking at your numbers, I thought that was really good. And there must have been a pretty fast field. Right? I mean, because a 2:04 is fast to me.
It's a college town. I mean, there were guys in tank tops, 5 fingers out there. So, but my age group is not college kids, but it's a much more fitness centered town there.
Yeah, because I'm saying a 2:04 and it was 15 out of 16. That's crazy to me. Because a 2:04.
I always like to say I'm in one of the hardest age groups, and I think that's indicative of it.
Oh yeah. Well, but I thought it was a good job, so it was good.
Oh yeah, I am not upset whatsoever. I did the absolute best that I can do. I didn't, I didn't sprint so hard and that I was dying and couldn't walk, afterwards, and so I did have to sit down for a little bit. But I was very pleased with my performance, and ultimately, hey, I was just going to have fun. So I knew I was in no danger of winning the thing, and I very adequately proved that.
So you kind of won because you knew you weren't going to win.
I followed my plan, came in right where I thought I was going.
You met your goal.
There you go.
So that was a smart goal. See,
specific, measurable,
so next week. Yeah, exactly. So next week is episode 100.
Yes, sir.
Are we excited?
Are we excited? Are we still thinking we're going to try to do what we're going to do, John? Are we still doing that?
I am looking into it. It is perplexing me. There were some ideas on how to do this, and I'm getting the idea that I read one that you have to do a split, and then you have to do the split off the split and a split off that split and get it into a board. And it's like, I can't go out and buy a $300-400 mixing board, to do this. So
anyone out there who has any ideas or would like to chime in over the next 7 days, then please feel free. Otherwise, we'll scrap the plan. That said, I know the absolute low-tech way is John or I can do a Facebook Live. We can then, get the other one in, and then for us to play some clips and so forth, we would have to hold the phone up to the microphone, and it'll give us some pretty poor audio quality. And between you and I, there's going to be a 3-4 second lag in what we're saying. Right. The other option, if somebody's techie, I had researched that there's a free computer program called OBS, in which case it's almost like putting on a webinar. One of us would call into the other one and put it on that way, and it's a possibility, and I think I might be able to accomplish that if some other life issues don't come up between now and then. and I have the opportunity to look at it. So,
well, we do have, we do have some alternate plans to make it a little bit of a special show. So, I'm working on. I think you're working on it later tonight, aren't you?
Yes, sir.
I'm part of it. So,
super secret double probation.
Yeah, it's super secret double probation. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see how long that goes for. All right. So until next week, do the whole thing. The Facebook page is teamE4E. We have a new website, teamE4E.com. Have you checked it out yet?
John, I haven't been on a computer to do so. I know it's somebody. I saw somebody's link or response said it looks great on the phone, so I'm taking their word for it.
Yeah, but your picture's on it, so you got to go look at it.
Okay. Anything for you, John.
Okay. But yeah, teamE4E.com. It lists, there's a section in it that it gives you a link to the podcast, gives you a link to the blog, gives you a link to the coaching site. So it's kind of like a portal to all the other sites. That's what I was thinking about it. So just
it is the ultimate redirect.
Yeah, a little bit more money out of my pocket, but that's okay, because I do it because I love it. I love you guys. So
we appreciate it, John.
All right. So and Squad Locker, go to Squad Locker and get yourself some gear. We really want to try to get 2018 really get the name out there a little bit. So anything.
The year of the tribe.
The year of the tribe. Right. So until next week, episode 100.
This is episode 99. Next week.
Thanks for listening to the Endurance for Everyone podcast. If you have comments or questions for the show, send an email to teamE4E@enduranceforeveryone.com. And remember, swim calm, bike strong, and run steady.